the money is called a tiered income tax rate. Start sticking it to the rich. Start sticking it to the corporations. Did you know, folks, and I think I've mentioned it on this show, did you know that for a period of about 2 years, you know how much corporations paid in state tax in Michigan? They paid zero. By law, they paid zero for 2 years. Now, they pay 6% flat, unless you're a sole owner. Sole owner or a partnership, you pay your state income tax on a personal level, which is 4.25%. So again, the state's losing money there too. In criticizing Republican insurance proposals Thursday, Whitmer spokeswoman Tiffany Brown seemed to hint that reaching a deal on insurance reform might involve finding a solution for road funding. So they're going to try and combine all this, is what it sounds like. Brown said of the auto insurance bills, quote, "The governor has made it very clear that she is only interested in signing a reform bill that is reasonable, fair, and provides strong consumer protections and immediate financial relief. In their current form, neither bill passed by the legislature meets that standard. The governor has also been very clear that passing a budget that fixes the damn roads is her first priority." End of quote. But State Representative Jason Shepard, Republican of Temperance, said the GOP won't trade auto insurance reform for the gas tax. One of the main architects of the House reform bill, Shepard said, quote, "We're not going to be held hostage on insurance rate relief." End of quote. No, but they'll hold you hostage, those of you that own cars and have to pay auto insurance. Although the Senate has passed insurance reform in the past, the House hadn't in the 40 years preceding Thursday morning. It finally happened, Shepard said, because the dynamics have changed. Some anti-reform GOP members were replaced by pro-reform Republicans, and others voted for the reform bills this week after previously opposing them. Those changes are driven by polling that shows a large majority of the public wants major rate reductions, Shepard said. He has said it's the number one topic when he talks for voters in his Monroe County district. Michigan law requires drivers to purchase unlimited lifetime medical benefits known as personal injury protection, or PIP, as a part of their car insurance. That's one of the reasons it's so expensive. The cost of PIP is about half of most insurance bills, a Bridge analysis found. Michigan's car insurance rates are 83% higher on average than the rest of the country. In Detroit, rates are more than 4 times the national average. The Senate plan, first released Tuesday morning and passed out of committee in the full Senate that afternoon, would allow drivers to choose between 4 tiers of PIP coverage, including eschewing it altogether if they have health insurance that covers car crash injuries, which I can tell you they don't. It's not covered. If you get your medical insurance through your employer, as I said just a few minutes ago, it does not cover injuries you sustain in an auto accident. Going back to the story, it would also require hospitals charge only the rates used for workers' compensation claims rather than charge more to treat car crash injuries. Democrats argued that the Senate plan does nothing to address the costs some drivers face, particularly in Detroit and surrounding areas, because insurance companies are allowed to charge more depending on where the driver lives. Other non-driving factors Democrats oppose are the use of gender, marital status, occupation, and credit scores in determining insurance rates. Opponents of the Senate bill also said it didn't guarantee rate reductions and instead put the onus on insurance companies to pass along the savings that cutting PIP would provide. Senator Jeff Irwin, Democrat of Ann Arbor, on the Senate floor Tuesday said, quote, "There's a tremendous amount of trust in this chamber of insurance companies, and most drivers don't have the same brimming cup of trust of insurance companies." End of quote. Let me add for the record that Jeff Irwin has been a previous guest on this show when he was a member of the Michigan State House. The House, by the way, introduced its own plan Wednesday evening by adding an 82-page amendment to an existing bill and then passing it just after 2 a.m. Thursday. That plan also offers multiple options of PIP coverage and added some changes Chatfield said were requested by Democrats. That is a requirement that insurers reduce premiums on PIP coverage for 5 years, and a requirement that insurance regulators identify non-driving factors used to determine rates, as Whitmer ordered last month, and then prohibit insurers from using them. Further, the House plan includes a requirement that insurers offer unlimited PIP coverage, which the Senate plan did not require, but also allows them to offer other tiered levels of coverage or no PIP coverage for those with health insurance covering car crash injuries. So, yeah, this is going on all across the country, folks. It's not just Michigan. But Michigan, it's even more highlighted because we pay so much. It's absolutely unreal. For one car, for my car, if I had the insurance on it by myself, thankfully I'm in a family policy, I would be paying $2,400 a year on car insurance. And I haven't had an at-fault accident in decades. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely stupid. Folks, there needs to be changes. It needs to happen. Make sure you pressure your representatives, not just in Michigan, but in the state that you're listening to this show. Make sure you pressure them as well. Unbelievable. All right, folks, we got to get to our next segment here, and we need to play the appropriate music.
Hammer time.
Oh, yeah, it's hammer time. It's time to drop the hammer on the douchebag of the week. And our winner this week is South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, who's a Republican. Big surprise there. I've got this story. This is by Chris D'Angelo at the Huffington Post. The Oglala Sioux tribe voted to ban South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem from the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation over her recent decision to sign into law a package of bills targeting opponents of the proposed Keystone XL pipeline and other oil and gas infrastructure projects in the state. Julian Bear Runner, president of the Oglala Sioux tribe, informed the first-term governor and former congresswoman in a letter that she is not welcome to visit our homelands until she rescinds support for two so-called riot-boosting laws. Yeah, that's what they're calling it. Now, instead of protesting, it's called riot-boosting. Isn't the language that they use just something else? Yeah, it is. It's just unbelievable, folks. It really, truly is. And people need to be pissed about this. Continuing the story, the legislative package which Noem introduced and signed into law in March grants state officials the authority to prosecute and sue not only individuals who protest pipelines, but outside people and groups that support and fund anti-pipeline demonstrations. Civil damages collected from those lawsuits would go into a fund to pay for law enforcement and other costs associated with riot boosting, a term the state has used to define the actions of rioting pipeline protesters and anyone who, quote, does not personally participate in any riot but directs, advises, encourages, or solicits other persons participating in the riot to acts of force or violence, end of quote. Governor Noem has described the pipeline legislation as a, quote, proactive approach that will spread the risk associated with pipeline construction, end of quote. In his letter Thursday, Bear Runner accused Noem of infringing on Native Americans' free speech rights in the oil industry, of trying to trespass on the tribe's sacred lands and waters. Well, there's the truth there. The letter comes a day after the tribe's council voted unanimously in support of keeping Noem from setting foot on the reservation, which is home to around 20,000 people and is larger than the states of Rhode Island and Delaware combined. Here's what he wrote. This is great. Quote, before you presume to visit our homelands again, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council must rescind its action as of May 1st, 2019. If you do not honor this directive, for example, if you were to repeat your recent visit absent permission from our tribal government, we will have no choice but to banish you, end of quote. And you know, the thing is, they can do that because reservations are sovereign. That's considered sovereign land. They're a sovereign nation. They write their own legislation. They have their own police force. They can do whatever they want to, and the state and the feds can't do a damn thing about it. And that's good, because this type of legislation restricts the First Amendment. It's absolutely beyond stupid. So for South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, for passing and signing this anti-speech legislation, we have this message for you.
Don't be a douchebag.
That's right. Hey, Governor Noem, stop being a douchebag. Unreal. All right, we've got time for one final story. We have our off the cuff for this week. This comes to us out of Guthrie, Oklahoma. This was published by CNN Wire. Listen to this. Josh Hader had a sore neck, so he tried to stretch it out, accidentally popping it. The next thing he knew, the left side of his body started to go numb. He went to the kitchen for an ice pack but couldn't walk straight. He said, quote, I kept walking at almost a 45-degree angle to the left, end of quote. The 28-year-old from Guthrie, Oklahoma had a serious stroke by cracking his neck. Dr. Vance McCullum, who treated him at Mercy Hospital, said the stroke was life-changing, but it could have been worse. Dr. McCullum saying, quote, when he popped his neck, he tore arteries that go to the bone of the neck, where the neck joins the skull at the base of the brain. The way he twisted the neck caused a bisection, end of quote. Hader's father-in-law took him to the emergency room where healthcare workers administered him TPA, which breaks up blood clots. After that, he was transported to the larger Mercy Hospital and was in the intensive care unit for 4 days before being sent to inpatient therapy. McCullum saying, quote, when he arrived, Hader had numbness, weakness, double vision, and his left side was numb, end of quote. Dr. McCullum added that an arteriogram showed that the artery was compromised because of the tear which caused a stroke. The doctor saying, quote, he wasn't able to walk straight, he kept falling down, end of quote. Yeah, this is scary stuff, folks. You probably shouldn't be cracking your neck. And I guess that's the moral to the story here. And real quickly, he is doing better now. Hader said that he can walk without a walker or a cane, but that he gets tired much faster than before and that his balance is still off. His left side tingles a little and it feels heavier than it used to. And he doesn't have as much control of that side as he did before this incident. All right, folks. That's going to wrap things up for this week. For Jack Prince and Kristen Cook, I'm Darren Gibson, and we'll see you next week.
The stations that carry Southpaws do not necessarily share the opinions expressed on the show. Southpaws is protected by the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and is copyrighted by Big D Entertainment, all rights reserved.